Okay.
Okay, so we're here with Michael Harris of Wisdom Inspections, and we're talking about another key to home ownership. Tell them a little bit about yourself, Michael.
So my name is Mike Harris. I'm the owner of Wisdom Property Inspections. Been in business for about 7 or 8 years now. We do home commercial and residential inspections throughout the DFW area. I'm a Dallas native. Graduated from Carter High School, went to Grambling State University. Um, was in education for about 20 years, but decided that this was really something that I enjoyed doing, and couldn't have picked a better profession. Love what I do. Love helping homeowners to um, make good choices as far as purchasing that first home or the second home or whatever. This is what I love doing.
Well, awesome. Well, I'm glad to have you today, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in home ownership. And the best thing to
Oh,
have is the keys to home ownership.
okay.
So, uh-oh. Oh, there we go. So the first thing that happens is people always have objections why they
Hmm.
don't want to purchase right now. So I always ask that question, why should you wait?
Hmm.
Well, they come up with, well, I have no down payment.
Hmm.
I have poor or unknown credit. I fear the unknown when it comes to home ownership. And then the process is too complicated. So that's where you and I come in.
Okay.
As I give people my will, this is my will to home ownership because when people know the process, it makes the process much, much simpler. And I always tell people that there are 5 transaction partners, and you are one of them, Michael Harris. You are an inspector. So
Hmm.
I've already gone through with others about the mortgage piece. I've already gone through others with, about the title piece. Now we're
Hmm.
talking about the inspection. So
Okay.
what's up next is you talking to us a little bit about what does it take for an inspection? How does the inspection process start? How is an inspection paid? And what is needed to have a home inspection performed? Okay? So you ready to get
Okay.
into that?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Let's get it.
So, like you said, inspections are a very important part of the home buying process. Um, Inspections take place when you find that perfect home that you like. You see it, you think this is the one, I can see myself here. But before you sign on that dotted line, once you make an offer on that house, you have what's called an option period. And that can be anywhere from 3 to 10 days, depending on how it's negotiated. And during that time period is when you want to get that home inspected. And so, do you really need a home inspection? I would recommend everyone get a home inspection, whether it's a new home, a pre-existing home. You still want to get the home inspected so that inspector can look for deficiencies and things that you might not see, because that's what we're trained. We have a trained eye to look for those things. So that's how it starts. Typically, a home inspection lasts anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 hours, depending on the square footage of the home. Um, we're paid online or cash, or my
Well,
company takes
wait,
all
wait,
forms of payment.
wait. There's another
Hmm.
piece in there about that. We'll get to that in just a minute. So let's
Okay.
just go back real quick. You said how the inspection of a home starts. You said that starts in the option period. So
Starts
time
in
is
the
of
option period.
essence, right? Time is of essence.
Time is of the essence. Absolutely.
And so
Hmm.
when someone calls you, they call you, and you're not just sitting around waiting because you got other clients to work on. But
Hmm.
how do you figure out what's the best fit for this person? Do they need to tell you something that allows you to know when you really need to get on their inspection?
So usually the client is referred by a realtor like yourself, and they'll call me. I'll speak with them about the property. I'll look up that property and find out what the square footage is if they don't happen to know that information. Um, all of my information is on my website, so they can book that information online, or we can talk. I can book it for them, just as long as we make sure we take care of it within that option period. So that's how it gets started.
Okay, well, good. Well, that's good to know. So say I have an inspection and I have a 3-day option period that I need to get.
Hmm.
You know, if I didn't call you that first day, is it still a possibility that I can get an inspection?
It's a possibility, but you're pushing the envelope with that. You're pushing the envelope because, especially during these summer months, because these are the peak times for real estate, and so we are all very busy. So it would be best if they called on that first day, so I could get them in maybe the next day or that following day. And with when I do the inspection, now I send the reports back on the same day, so that way you have time. The realtor will have time to negotiate any kind of findings on the inspection report.
And is that just something that needs to be negotiated as far as what is the cutoff time? Like if I need an inspection done and it's 5 o'clock today and I just realized I need an inspection, do can I still call you at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m.? What's your cutoff
If
time?
well, if you need it done by 5 p.m.
No. If I need it done maybe the next 2 days, if I
hmm
call you at 5 p.m., what is the best method to contact you in order to get that going?
Well, you can I can be contacted anytime. I take calls all the way up till 10 p.m. at night.
Oh,
Usually it's
wow.
by text message, and or someone may have gotten a hold to my website, and they'll just book the appointment online. So, and I'll see it the next morning. But I can be contacted up to 10, 11 p.m. at night. I work late, and I'm up early. So yeah, they can contact me anytime.
Okay, cool.
hmm
All right.
hmm
So next up, so you were already on to how it gets paid.
Yeah, I
That
know.
that question always comes up. How is the inspection paid? Who pays
hmm
for it? How much does it
Okay.
cost? You know?
Yeah, yeah. So the inspection is usually paid before or during the inspection.
Okay.
So who pays for the inspection? Typically, it's the purchaser, the person that's purchasing that home. Um, the cost of inspections depend on the square footage and whatever amenities the house may have. So let's say, for instance, a 2,000 square foot home may cost you 350 to 375. Now, when you add in, okay, I have a pool, so there's an additional cost for an inspector inspecting that pool. Or they may say, well, the house is on a pier and beam foundation, or I may find that out when I look it up, and which means there's two different types of foundations. There's a slab and there's a pier and beam. So the pier and beam has a crawl space, which means the inspector has to go
Oh,
underneath the house to check out plumbing. There may be some electrical underneath there. So there's always an extra charge for that because it's a little bit more labor involved. And so the cost just depends on those things. What's
okay.
covered? hmm
No, go ahead.
Well, I'm looking at the next question. What is covered under the inspection? That was your next question, right?
That was my next question.
Okay. Okay. What's covered under the inspection? We cover everything from A to Z. We cover your roof. We check your roof. We check the foundation. I do something a little bit different than some other inspectors do. Uh, we have a tool called a Zip Pro Level 2000, and what I do with that, it measures the uh, the foundation from corner to corner in the house to see if there's any elevation or any slope, too much elevation or too much slope. That way, you're getting into a house with a bad foundation or the foundation is good. You'll know that once that inspection is done. So we cover roof, foundation, we cover the plumbing, electrical, um, HVAC, which is your heating, ventilation, and AC, um, windows, doors, ceilings, and floors, and all of your major appliances in the home.
Well, awesome. Windows, doors, and ceilings and floors.
That's right. That's right.
Well, awesome. I love it. Is there anything else you maybe have, like, what about pest, inspections and things like that? Is that part
Right.
of it?
So that's another thing. So termite inspections are sometimes included. If you're receiving, let's say you're getting a VA loan, a Veterans Administration loan. Those loans, they require that a what's called a WDI inspection is done on the home. So WDI, it stands for wood destroying insects. So that has to be performed on the home. Most inspectors will charge an additional $100 for that. If I'm doing your general home inspection, I only charge $50 for the termite inspection. So, and all of those, that
Oh,
comes in, that's a separate report that comes along with your general home inspection report. So, but it's sent the same day as well.
okay.
hmm
That's good to know. Well, outstanding. So I said, we talked about all those things about being paid. We talked about how it starts. Now we just need
Hmm.
to know, what's needed to have the inspection performed. What needs to happen? Is
What needs
anyone
to happen?
allowed, required to attend? Is it possible for a home to fail? What type of
What?
inspection report is supplied? And what happens
Mhm.
if there are problems found?
Okay, so is anyone allowed? So typically, the buyer is allowed to attend the inspection, but it's a boring process because, like I said before, it can take anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 hours. So generally, clients come at the last 30 minutes or so of the inspection so I can go over findings with them. But some clients are, they're adamant about being there for the entire inspection, and I welcome that because, so they can see what I'm doing, and that way they'll know everything I know by the time I'm done with it. Now, during this particular time of year, this season with this COVID, now we encourage phone consultations, but and I make sure I send that out to different clients. However, I do recommend that they attend the inspection with masks and gloves, just the proper personal protection equipment, in this season of COVID. So, but yes, they are required. They are allowed to attend. Not required, but they are allowed to attend.
Okay.
Now, now, is it possible for a home to fail? So, home inspections are not about passing and failing. It's not about that. It's about whatever I find, any kind of deficiencies we find, is that something you're willing to deal with? So if this water heater is 20 years old, still working, but 20 years old, and let's say the flue in the fireplace needs to be cleaned, those are things that I may point out in the process of doing that home inspection.
Hmm.
It's not about pass or fail. It's about, hey, this is what we're dealing with. Are you willing to go with that or not? So I never say, hey, pass on this house, don't do that. Or, yeah, this is a go. This is a great house. I think you should buy it. I just lay everything out that we find, and that buyer decides whether or not that's what they want to do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's see, what type of inspection report is supplied? So the report is a very detailed report, and sometimes it can be overwhelming when potential buyers see it because it's a lot of pages, it's a lot of information. But that's what you want when you're buying a new house. You want to know everything about that house. And so my reports have, digital pictures, and they have detailed information regarding any kind of findings about the house, even things that are not deficient or considered deficient, that they're not working properly. I still notate, okay, this air conditioning unit is 2 years old. This is the what am I trying to say? Um, this is how long it's been here. This is the capacity of it. This is the tonnage. It's a 3-ton unit. Those type of things are the description of those components are labeled or written out in that inspection report.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
like I said, you get that report on the same day, and yeah, that's it with that.
Okay. And so with the inspection report, does it give you any? It talks about code violations and things like that as well, right? So if
Well,
something's not up to code, does it say that?
we don't get too much into code. There are different things about the house that we may see that are not up to code, but we don't point out different code violations. That's pretty much another area. But
Okay.
if let's say there's a thing called a sediment trap on a gas line, that's a code violation now if it's not there. So we'll point that out. But there are certain things that are code that we don't go too much into that area. We just
Okay.
point out whether it's deficient or not. Mhm.
Okay. And then so lastly, what happens if problems are found?
If problems are found, so those are your deficiencies. So when you look at that report, you'll see whether it was inspected, not inspected, if it was not present, and then you'll see a deficiency. So you'll see check marks on that report next to all of those things. So those deficient items are the problems found. So we lay that out to the buyer and the realtor, which is yourself, and you will talk about it with that potential buyer, and you can use that however you want to use it. In that option period, you can decide, okay, this is, I want to move forward with this house with all of these deficiencies. Now that seller may say, okay, um, we'll fix it. You know, we'll fix those things for you. Or they may say, well, we'll give you money to fix it. We'll just pay you. We'll pay you to fix the water heater. We'll pay you to fix the air
Right.
conditioning unit. They could say that. Or they could say, well, no, we'll just take some money off the price of that house. We'll just, you know, instead of paying 350, we'll knock it down to 345. Or they could say, hey, take it or leave it. We're not fixing anything as is. And then it's up to that buyer to decide whether or not they want to go forward.
Yeah, those are the options.
Those are the options. Those are the options. So that's what happens if problems are found. Right.
Say, here's the word option period.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
that's the time to talk about it. And so a lot of people might be sitting and thinking, well, why is she doing this video with an inspector? As I want to explain that, because the part about successful home ownership is not just finding a house. It's, avoiding risky loans. It's,
Hmm.
maintaining adequate insurance. It's avoiding to borrow against your equity, making the mortgage payment,
Hmm.
staying current. But it
Hmm.
all starts when you have the right inspection.
Hmm.
If an inspector doesn't give you the right information up front, it could be a very tricky home purchase.
That's right. That's right.
So the reason I do this video is because I want people to see and hear from an actual inspector, someone who's working in the industry, who can
Hmm.
help people understand what it takes to get that inspection piece done and what you would gain by having an inspection done.
I think that's very wise of you to do so, and I think it would be very wise for clients to take heed, because inspections, if you don't get that house inspected, you really don't know what you're getting into. So I agree wholeheartedly.
Well, awesome. And so again, I'm going to say thank you because I'm catching you right in the middle of an inspection. So I appreciate your time today, Michael. And I want
Okay.
everybody out there to know who you are. I put your business card information in there, and this video will be posted not only to my Facebook page, but to my YouTube, to my LinkedIn. I'm gonna have it everywhere because I want people to know that it's not just about you know finding a house. It's not just about finding the right loan. It's not even
Mhm.
about just having the right insurance. It's about
Mhm.
all those pieces and the right inspection. So
That's right.
today's the
That's right.
start.
It all works together. All works together. Thank you, Perret. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so
Thank you
much. You're
so
doing a great
much.
job. Hmm.
All right. Well, you have a good one and
Okay.
enjoy your inspection.
Okay. You too. Take care.